they're having sex one night, and she's like, "Can I bite you?" And he was like, And so then she bites him, and then she's like, "Since I bit you, would you like to bite me?" And he's like, The book literally says he thinks he blacked out. So then he bites her, and now they've marked each other as mate, and the mating bond is solidified. Make the bond, Jake.
Shut the up, you asshole. That is the funniest thing ever.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Unresolved Textual Tension. Today, it's me, your host, Maria, with my lovely co-host, Katie. Ooh, so cute. And today, what book are we reading, Katie?
We are reading Mate by Allie Hazelwood. Allie H.
This was the sequel to Bride. We did a video of that previously, Katie and I.
That was a vampire being sexy chill with a werewolf. And so, it was good. The premise, you would think, all of you of the millennial age or thereafter, this seems to check the boxes that you would think would make you fulfilled in a read. Absolutely effing not. But no, Bride was not very stellar, Maria. Would you agree?
Well, Bride wasn't stellar.
This is worse?
Yes, this is worse. If it's at all humanly possible. We finished Bride and we were like, how did you go from writing The Love Hypothesis, which was a perfectly
I forgot.
fine,
She wrote that.
Perfectly fine book. Love Hypothesis had the beginnings of the problems here where, for the most part, Love Hypothesis ignored sex, and then all of a sudden it just got shoved into a couple of chapters.
One chapter, I'm pretty sure.
The main male character suddenly had a completely different personality in the bedroom, and he didn't even feel like the same person.
Can I also just say that male personality is her best male protagonist so far? He actually seemed like a person.
Yep.
Whereas, which is still I would not say a full person, but I would say a person.
As far as a contemporary romance goes, and as a beach read, a saucy little fluff piece, yeah, it was fine. I have a lot of problems with that. That genre is not necessarily my genre, but as far as that went, I thought
I liked it.
Yeah, Katie enjoyed it.
It's kind of my genre a little.
The thing is, I think there's a time and place. I think if you open a book and that's what you're like, this is what I'm expecting out of it, and I'm putting myself in saucy little beach read mode, abso-fucking-lutely. And the problem with these books is they're trying to engage in the romantasy field without having a lot of world building to really flesh it out. And we have struggled finding good romantasy books that we enjoy overall. Katie's much more forgiving of the romantasy genre.
Just because I read a very large, maybe too much, and it's now coming to the point amount of fan fiction. I was gonna say, let's get started from the beginning.
Okay, so this book opens with a prologue, which is from the point of view of a little girl, and there's her obvious parental figures. She likes her mom, she does not like her father, kind of vibes. And then they're gonna get attacked, so she gets shoved in a closet and she hides in the closet for a while, and then at the end of it, this young a young man finds her and is like, "Hi, don't worry, we'll take care of you." And she immediately likes the guy and responds well to him and is very docile in his arms. That's the prologue. Tuck that away for yourself, because you will forget this scene happened completely after a chunk of the book.
I didn't, because I knew who the young man was from the get-go.
Yes, but the thing is, he makes me so I hate. And
I hate it too.
Yeah,
I hate it too.
It's the case of the young man who rescued this 8-year-old girl is going to be the person that
three years old.
She's 3 years old. 3-year-old girl is going to dick her down later, which I hate.
Oh, stop! Stop! Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that.
That's it. It's terrible. Luckily, they never see each other again until they're both fully grown adults, but I hate it. But
Point being, though, that's your intro chapter. Then we jump to after the events of Bride. Go watch that if you want to know what happens.
And our main character, her name is Serena. She, per the end of Bride, is a hybrid. She's the second known hybrid to exist. There's a little girl named Alice, or Anna. Anna, a little girl named Anna, who's involved a lot in Bride. And Serena was the main character of Bride, Misery's best friend. They grew up together. There's this whole weird thing about there was collaterals where like a vampire would go live with the humans and a human would go live with the vampires, and
To make sure nobody attacked each other.
Misery was collateral, and Serena was her presumed human like playmate to keep her from being lonely. And so they got to like they ended up just living with each other when they finally got out of the whole collateral situation. They went to college, they were roommates. And then the plot of the first book kicks off when Serena goes missing, and our main character is trying to investigate where she went and ends up married to a werewolf guy. And anyway, Serena, everybody now knows her a hybrid. It came out at the end of the last book, and she has been staying with the Southwest Pack, which is Lowe's pack, but for unknown reasons, she decides to go be by herself.
Question. Is it just me, or does Serena third person or first person perspective of Misery in the first book seem different than Serena first person perspective of Serena in this book? I don't know if it's just me or my memory, but she just like, I mean, she didn't really get characterized all that much in the first book, but she just didn't really strike me the same, which is I'm probably completely wrong.
She
but
feels like a wet rag in this book, and in the other book she felt a bit more capable.
I don't know. She just felt like a little bit more herself. I don't know. That's just the memory.
Sometimes, but no, what we actually characters being described,
yeah, I know,
like as a second character, have more personality than when they are in the first person narration.
Hence, Misery having more personality in this book than in the first book, almost in some ways.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I loved Misery in this book. She was funny as hell.
Yeah, she was. So this book somehow makes the first book better in retrospect. And it's just, unfortunately, the other problem that you didn't have as much in Love Hypothesis because of who the two characters were, but like the dynamic of the characters in this feels really just like Marvel that quippy dialogue where
contrived.
Unfortunately, it feels kind of similar, though I will say Misery somehow had more unique. Misery was the main character of the book.
Right?
That somehow Misery had more uniqueness to her as a character than our main character in this book does. It just, when I tell you, it is like cardboard cutouts kind of roaming about an empty stage, and then at one point they just smash against each other for a bit.
But no, what we actually begin with, gird yourselves, ladies and gents. What we start with is Serena running through the woods at night, desperately trying to evade another werewolf that's chasing her. We know very briefly that she has sought solace in the loneliness of the woods that she's been wanting, because there's a few back and forth flashback. What's that?
She's being chased by a vampire, not a werewolf.
Really? Oh, fair enough. Vampire then.
Vampire Bob.
Fair enough. Bob. That's right. I forgot. Anyway, not that it matters, everyone. But the point is, I mean, it does, I guess, in some way. But the point is like he's chasing after her. You get in the first several chapters a few backs and forths that I thought were horribly done. I thought linearly would have been much better in this case. It just made it more confusing, and it didn't add to the understanding.
And unfortunately, it's jumping over a 2-month period. Like we're getting scenes right from the end of, like, there's literally a scene where Cohen, the main man of this book, and Serena talk right after literally the end of the first book, and then they have this conversation, and then we're jumping like 2 months ahead in time, and it's so close to each other that the time
it feels dumb.
Yeah, and especially because we don't actually spend a lot of time in this beginning period, like the period right after the other book ends. It's literally like 2 scenes she wanted to get out of the way.
It would have been better off she just went linearly, because like we don't have a relationship with Cohen and Serena yet, and so to jump from a not really, but vaguely established relationship back to not yet
They just
established,
met
but
each
sort of.
other.
It's the same thing.
It is
Like,
because they literally this scene. So basically, Serena is being chased by a werewolf, or not a werewolf, a vampire,
yeah, sorry,
and then Cohen, the alpha of the Northwest Pack, who also at the whole cliffhanger at the end of the first book is, oh my god,
she's
Serena is Cohen's mate, and he's like, fuck, like grumpy,
that's how it ends.
grumpy lumberjack. And so this book opens up not with that scene, which it would have made sense to open with that.
I would have
first.
preferred that.
Yes, it opens with Serena in the woods getting chased by a vampire, and then Cohen's there, and he's like, you fucking with my mate? And they were like, oh, the vampire's like, oh, I heard you were pissed off because she rejected you and she didn't want to bone you.
So you want to? So do you want to do you want to sexually assault her
now?
And then I'll just take her for the reward, because there's a money reward for her capture for the vampires, because they want to study her genetics. And then Cohen. Shame. Slip of the tongue. Cohen is like, actually, that kind of sounds sort of hot. But you can tell he's playing it up. But he's just like, yeah, that's kind of hot. But and then the vampire rips off her and then her boobies are out for display. And then, of course, Cohen's like, ooga bagoo, and which literally happens actually. And then the vampire is like, here, do what you will with it. Which is, all of this is so stupid.
Also,
this is the stupidest scene in the whole book, in my opinion.
Yes, and it's crazy because we're gonna have so much stupider, because it's like this vampire wants to take her back, but he's like, oh, this werewolf who is obviously her mate. Like, everybody knows, because they made sure to tell everyone that Serena is
so that
she'd
be protected.
So that she'd be protected. And this vampire is gonna be like, oh yes, deep, strong, terrifying alpha. You just sleep with your mate once, and then I'll just take her.
That'll be,
and that'll be enough. Like, that's how it works.
Hardcore Bible thumpers of this book will say, oh, but how would the vampire know the cultural... No, it doesn't matter. Anybody with a brain in this world...
Here's the term mate.
Would just be like, well, also not just that, wouldn't trust the situation. Why would you let her go? She is obviously, like, there. It just, at that point, you just retreat. Like, just retreat.
And this guy already was like, I'm gonna fuck you up if you touch her. And then you're like, oh, but if I offer to let you sexually assault her, then we'll be good, right? Like, are you the dumbest guy? It's so dumb. It's the whole scene. And unfortunately, there's a lot of scenes like this where you can tell the author wanted an outcome. In this case, boobies on display.
Yeah, that's what it was. That was just, it was like, just the boobies.
She wanted a situation where Cohen would ogle, and so that this line gets to happen later, and also to set up the whole, like, the vampires are after Serena thing. But to get from, like, point A to point B, which was that, like, Serena doesn't actually get taken, and that this
author really, really, really struggled.
Yes.
Really struggled.
There's so many scenes that happen, and you're like, oh, this was written this way because you wanted this end, and you just threw spaghetti at the wall.
Know how to get there.
To see,
to
see what kind of got you there, and then that's what we went with. Anyway, obviously Cohen does not go with this. He, like, fucks up the vampire.
All that happens is that Serena, now with her hand loose, has a rock in her hand, and she swings around and she stabs him in the gut or something. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, the vampire is immobilized and dead, and then they move on from that. But it was literally so cringy, everybody, that from that moment, I would have DNF'd this immediately if I had the choice.
Yes.
Which I guess I do. But
and it's such a crazy opening to present your two characters who, again, we have not seen interact, except at the end of the first book when Cohen was like, like, nostrils flare, pupils dilate, oh my god, she's my mate, and she just, like, flounced upstairs like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then we see the scene of baby her, like 3-year-old her, and then 15-year-old him. Again, weird way to open your book.
And then weird sexual assault moment. And like, it is a weird recipe for absolute failure.
What a concoction. And then we fly back to the end of the first book where Lo comes in and is like, hey, Serena, because Serena's trying to, like, plug in. Actually, no, he finds her. Cohen goes up, and Serena's trying to plug in her laptop, and she's trying to turn it on, and he's like, it's not plugged
Just use
into
the
the
plug.
outlet. You need to plug it in. And she's like,
So dumb.
I'm actually a smart person. And to give you some context for those of you that didn't watch that, Serena for 3 months or so was held captive
Oh my
by
God. It does
vampires.
not. Pause real quick. Beyond that, Serena, I mean, along with Misery, but Serena has really experienced a massive amount of trauma. And the author's very happy to blatantly have the characters joke with it, with each other. And in some ways that does work, but in a massive amount of other ways, especially when it comes to characterization, it does not work. And I just think to myself, oh my God, she bypasses all the interesting intricacies of making a adult woman go through torture and never address the PTSD, never, and that I would have liked to read about, honestly.
And it's crazy because Serena will tell you she's been traumatized her whole life, but her
She doesn't act it.
characterization doesn't act like it. And again, I think Katie's completely correct. Just like, you know, thinking of a society where it is completely like these chemical and hormonal things make it so different from human, and actually exploring that would be super interesting. Similarly, having a character who has gone through literally abducted for 3 months, living in absolute
Not seeing
isolation,
sunlight.
and living, and again, living in isolation. Why on earth would Serena want to go live in a cabin by herself? Once again, in isolation.
The only thing I could understand about that, and I still wouldn't understand it, I would assume that she'd want to live with Misery, because that's her closest familial point. But I could, the only reason, again, there is a reason that she says, and maybe that works, and we're going to address that in a moment. But, you know, I'll hold off on this. But the point is this. A character, if you're going to tell your readers, let me rephrase. If you're going to tell your readers a character has gone through a thing and go through the exposition that requires, why are you not going to utilize that into the characterization and into the moments that will come forth in the different scenes? Because then that will add flavor and depth to them and add importance to certain growth points that will happen inevitably in a romance, or, you know, all these kinds of things. Instead, it's all meaningless. And so, yeah, like Maria said, she asks to go into like a cabin in the middle of nowhere, but we're not there yet.
Cohen comes in, and they have a funny moment, and then like he's like, I have to tell you something. Lo comes in. Lo is Misery's husband, and he comes in and he's like, you're Cohen's mate, and she's like, what does that mean? And then Cohen's like, basically, I want to bone you.
I want to have sex with you.
Yeah, that like there is a hormonal pull to bone you. And she's like,
he also specifically says, by the way, I do not like you. I do not love you. It has nothing to do with like or love. I do not know who you are. I just want to bone you. And so from this moment on, we are given this like persona of Cohen that he's actually, like, there's always this pretense the whole book, and it's so annoying because it's obviously not what it is.
Yep.
And that he's like this bad boy, uncaring person, and it's so dumb.
He literally, there's this one point where Serena, like, they kind of joke with each other and they have a nice repartee, and she's like, you know, I don't think you're my mate, because he's like, if I was, you'd know it. And she's like, I don't know. She's like, I feel really safe around you. Like, there's a calmness. And he's like, well, that's because I'm an alpha. And she's like, well, okay. And then she's like, but, you know, I like you well enough that I would absolutely go on a date with you. And so basically what she's offering is, you're sexually attracted to me, and I am willing to explore and go on a date with you and see if that's something that I would eventually be interested in. Like, you know, like, just because you're not my mate doesn't mean we can't like get to know each other. And he's like,
nah, bitch.
Oh, he says, and it's such a shitty thing, the parts of me that care or that matter don't care. like are not interested in you
He
that
is
way.
so wretchedly mean.
Yes, and what he's saying is, yeah, like my hormones want to bone you, but myself, my mind, and my heart uninterested, babe.
Meanwhile, look, there's a reason behind this, but not the reason for the amount. Like,
Why wouldn't he just tell her from the get-go? Like, why wouldn't he just say right here, right now, I appreciate you offering to go on a date with me and explore that, but due to A, B, and C, not going to happen. Like, there's no reason
for him to be abusive
to her. Like this.
No. He's not just lying. He is genuinely, in my opinion, abusive towards her at the beginning and throughout a fair amount of the beginning of the book.
Well, let me tell you, he gaslights the shit out of this girl.
And it upsets me because then there's no real, like, it doesn't, it's bad writing.
It is.
But continue.
It is bad writing. You can tell the author really wanted the angst. And it's like, in the first book, the thing was Misery entered this marriage thing with this werewolf.
Arranged marriage
to keep peace between the werewolves and the vampires, but she mainly did it because she was investigating what happened to Serena, and she found evidence that led her towards Lo, and so she was actually spying on Lo to try to figure out who Serena is.
So that makes sense.
So that's her, but that's everyone's hiding a secret. Like so far, like in this alley, like think about it. Love Hypothesis. She was hiding the fact that she that whole scene where she had met him, or I guess he was hiding that.
He was hiding that.
But someone's always hiding something. In the last one, it was Misery hiding what she was really there for. Here, it's our main character thinking she's dying. But this author likes a certain amount of drama, and so by making it him say he doesn't actually like her, it's adding to the angst on the reader's part that the author is trying to do, but it does not work organically within the story. And like it could have if you committed to the fact that he genuinely did not like her as a person out the gate, and that he's super in control of himself, and he like. But that's not what it is, and it's so dumb. Anyway.
And we know this real quick, by the way, because from his perspective that we get at the beginning of each chapter, we know from the get-go that he never disliked her once. And he even says that later from the beginning. He says much later on, he's like, when I first met you, you were literally sketched out as the perfect woman I had ever pictured.
Yeah, and so, even outside of a mate connection.
Ignore that. If you want to make him this angsty, genuinely, make it that he's angry that he's lost his control over himself due to this thing, and that she's not particularly physically attractive to him, but it is a chemical thing. And therefore, like, I don't like that in general. I think it's annoying.
Like, but maybe he was more into, like, the tall, lanky bitches like Misery. Like, maybe that was his type. Like, naturally.
Or the more badass bitches like Brenna later on that we get.
Anything like that. And then have him have to, like, you know, there is the physical pull, but have him also like genuinely fall in love with her. That's not going to happen. And again, this is a lie. He is lying right now. And it's so obvious that you as the reader are just super frustrated. At least I was. Me as the reader. And Katie as well. Once again, I will make this statement that of the steamy scenes, for here there be smut. You know, if for those of us who were on Quizilla when we were like 12, here there'd be lemon, if you will.
Oh, yeah, no lemon lime.
No lime.
Lemon, full
this
lemon.
This is lemon. Full lemon. Once again, the scenes that are not actually sex are better than the ones that are full-on sex. Like, there is... again, people don't realize that at a certain point, you can't make full-on sex super sexy.
It's got to have a relationship between it, or it's got to be particularly kinky in a way that's like you have to, like, for example, the weird tentacle porn thing that I read of Tony Stark and like Jarvis. Who wants to read that? Nobody, not even I literally closed it out several times. But when you're a good enough writer and you write interesting things between the relationship, like expectations, give and takes, like you can't help but be drawn back in by the good writing. And so what I have to say is, while Ali Hazelwood is a line to line, obviously decent enough writer, She can't seemingly write a good story.
And again, Love Hypothesis, I would have liked Love Hypothesis so much more if it didn't have the smut chapter.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because it was such a weird interlude to a relationship that had been primarily like uninterested in that.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that I didn't want the characters to have sex, but I like a nice fade to black. Like give me the Susan. Give me the
I like the pounding flesh upon pounding flesh. But that being said, still in Love Hypothesis, when it happened, the problem is the character changed. He literally changed. He did not speak like himself.
Nope.
He spoke like what a girl's fantasy would be in a give and take relationship where it's like, let me have control, no control, and that type of thing. And it spoke, and that's the
and
same thing that happens.
Yeah, that's how these two books, Bride and Mate.
I was just gonna say, that's the problem, is that both of the male protagonists, especially in this book in particular, but in both Bride and Mate, the male protagonists don't have a personality except for in the brief, and I say this very sparingly, in the brief 10 to 15 seconds of screen time that they have before each chapter, where you're like, you get like a brief, like that's the thing that she does in these books. You, during the chapter titles, you get a brief moment of like maybe 2 to 3 sentences, maybe only one, of what the male protagonist is actually thinking, but it's not well utilized, especially in this book. I don't know about the last book, but in this book, not particularly, because it's like, it doesn't correlate with your actions and it feels contrived.
I don't think it works that great in Bride either. The problem
I don't think
is,
it did either.
for the most part, especially in this book, it's just about like how delicious she smells and how much she loves her and how she's the best thing that ever happened.
It is only for the female protagonist's benefit, and that is not a definition of the male protagonist's personality.
And I suppose one of my problems, as much as I love a good romance, like, listen, your girl loves a ship, and I will go down with it. But I don't love when the two characters are so insanely obsessed with each other that like everything else in their lives like pale to. I like my characters to be independent people.
It feels like a mental illness.
Yeah, I like my main characters to be independent people that I like separately, that I also like together, or by getting to know each other and meeting and developing together, they then become characters I like. Because that's also, you sometimes start with two characters that you don't necessarily like, or one that you dislike, and then they develop together, and then suddenly you like them. And but I need to like them independently of each other.
That's called chemistry.
Yeah, that's called
like
fucking.
They need to have chemistry.
They need to have chemistry, and it can't just be like, ugh, you're mine. And unfortunately, that's part of the problem with the Omegaverse, is that it kind of just is magnets. Magnets draw each other, go smoosh smoosh.
One of the few things that actually caught my attention in the Omegaverse was, and I told Maria about this thing, but it was a fan fiction for Marvel, and it was like with Tony Stark, but it wasn't about romance at all. There was like never any romance. It was literally political. It was so political and gender infused, and it was like, but beyond gender, it was like gender identification, and it was like crazy how much it talked about that. And there was not almost a singular scene of love. I don't even remember a scene of love.
And that's how I would like to explore that, because I love when you take something like this, because society would not look the same if you had and like it would people
a next level of gender.
Yes, and also if there was such chemical pulls toward each other and such it would not look like it. And it, once again, I'm going to bring up my queen, rest in peace, my lady, Ursula K. Le Guin, and her book, The Left Hand of Darkness, which you should definitely read, Katie. It is in this book, there is people. So in her sci-fi universe, humans colonized different planets, but they did it so long ago from the point of the book starting that the humans have evolved into different types of humans from each other. And on this particular planet, 90% of the time, people don't have a gender. They're agender.
Oh, that's so cool. That's fun.
And when they have like once a month or a certain time period where they will have a hormone thing,
Oh
and
God,
it will
Ursula
shoot
K. Le
them.
Guin.
Yeah, it'll shoot them into they will suddenly develop the physical gender identifications of one or the other, and it can make someone else in the periphery who's also near their time do the corresponding. But because of this society's views on war, power, because
It's completely different.
completely different, because like wanting sex only happens when you are in that like 3-day hormonal flux. So outside of that, they don't give a
Heat.
shit. There is no and the reason I mention
Ruthless.
it is because it is so like there's literally a scene where a character has this happen, like where they enter what we will call, because it's called here, heat, and this
Or
other
Estrus
character,
for our character because she's
yeah,
female.
like what that means to them and how it affects this society and how they build themselves. And it is such a fascinating look at an alternate, like how something that fundamentally changes.
Love that.
It's such, and also it's just a great character study because it's two characters who are very opposed in the beginning who become friends. It's not a romance, but like it's just such a good book. Please,
Okay, so I'll have to read.
yeah, if you take one thing out of this
away from this
fucking series or this video, read Ursula K. Le Guin's Left Hand of Darkness, my queen. Anyway, but nothing that interesting is happening here, and that's why like the fanfiction you're talking about, Katie, where it is a political experience of a world where the Omo
because it would have to be.
It would have to be completely different. Yes. And it is
and the
fascinating.
thing is it's so funny because there's multiple instances where Hazelwood specifically has her character say, "We're not human. We are wolf." And also even I want to say, hey, why are there only werewolves? Why aren't there were-crabs and whatever? Which is a great, but the thing is like the problem is when an author speaks through her meat puppet, that is a character like that, and doesn't genuinely address it and makes it more of a faffing about joke, it actually doesn't always work depending on the genre of the book. And because this genre is not comedy, I don't find it funny. I find it irritating personally. And I'm like, yeah, so why are you addressing this? And why is this not being actually asked? Which is not even actually all that important. It was just a minor, it was like a fly on my butt.
Yeah.
Like, well, if I were a horse.
Yes.
My point
and
is,
she had a tail that she could
that would flap it about. But you see what I mean, though?
Yeah,
like,
no,
the thing
100%.
is
it's the fundamental problem here.
She specifically addresses it. She has her character say, we are not human. We are something else. And so therefore we work differently, but they don't actually work that much differently. And all that's described is a hipster community. And I'm just like,
it feels like a hipster community.
It is. It's like when I went to Portland.
Yeah.
It's literally,
I know.
It's like, well, it's the coast, but also like when I went to Portland, like that's what she basically described. And I'm like, yeah, well, she also says, this is literally what I'm describing, but I'm like, okay, go beyond that, because she specifically makes a society purely werewolf. And she's like, but I'm not going to explain any of that to you. Our girl's going to be secluded in a cabin and never have any agency, really, except for all the pretended agency I give her.
And part of the problem is this is kind of... So when we read Fourth Wing, I made the comment that Fourth Wing kind of felt like a contemporary, like a romance that could have taken place in a military school in our world.
Yeah.
But with the veneer of fantasy lacquered over it, and this feels like an urban fantasy lacquer on the story. Now, I will say this one a little bit more than that one has, like, because she does bring in, Katie and I just were talking about this, the comment of the concept of a heat, an estrus, that impacts the story in really silly ways, especially
but
because
also highly important.
Yeah, and it's so funny, but it doesn't actually, like, while it affects the characters, it does not feel like a world where this kind of thing is super impactful or has been accounted for in reasonable ways.
Literally, there is a point where, and not very far into the novel, where you as the reader, if you're even remotely like familiar with this stuff, you're like, okay, she needs the D. She's got the heats. Sounds like the shits. Shame, sorry. It's like also treated like that in a weird way, but anyway, I mean, it is. It's like a anyway, I'm not even gonna get into that yet. The point is she's going through something, and the way it's framed, it seems unique because which to be fair, she is a hybrid, but the way it's framed up, it makes it seem like a her problem. So there was a brief moment where I was like, is he not a thing for werewolves? And is it just like and I didn't remember anything from Bride, so I just couldn't remember if there's any discourse on this. But I was like, wait, is there a heat ever discussed in the first book?
Nope. I don't think so.
So there was a brief moment towards the beginning of the book where I thought, oh, maybe this is a hybrid only issue and maybe only hybrid humans get the kinky stuff. And it's really just like not even a wolf thing. And that's like how, I don't want to say poorly set up the lore is, but it's like, it was just like not, it was like an afterthought in a weird way. How it integrated, because like, how does everybody else deal with this? And it's never really talked about. I mean, it is very briefly, but it's kind of very shallowly done.
And it's crazy because the main character thinks she's dying, and I immediately, like, from the jump, you're like, Dick's the answer. Dick's the answer. Don't worry. Once you get the dick, you'll and
I knew it from the get-go too.
That is exactly what happens. And like, you should never
be able to guess that early on.
Like, and be like, oh, it's because like the character legitimately thinks she's dying, and like is hiding it from everyone she loves, and is like thinking she's not wearing sunscreen anymore.
She just needs a good dickening.
She just needs the dickening, and it's just. And also, why did it last?
It's kind of funny. Like the thing is, it shouldn't be funny to me. Like with how serious this book treats itself, which is not totally seriously. Like for example, I would like to just say now, there's a couple of very, very elementary, like, jokes made, like, about unicorns and unicorn, like, waffles and stuff, and it's so misplaced. Like, it's supposed to be, like, childish in relation to the child that is involved in, like, very briefly in the story, and it's supposed to be, like, a cutesy reference, but it's really not. It's uncomfortable, the way it's integrated. Like, it could have been integrated funnily and cutely and, like, endearingly, but it's not. It just seems like a cliche joke off the internet, and it like somebody trying to grab what they think other people think will be cute and funny, but it's not actually cute and funny. And so it feels very silly in an awful way.
It really is. This book has tonal issues where like sometimes it doesn't match from scene to scene. It has like in the middle, so there's like two climaxes to this book, like that all involve the same evil main character, not main character, but this is all the same evil. But in between those two little climaxes is a like 4-day sexcation.
It just like it,
and it's so weirdly placed. Anyway, he leaves and she's like, oh wow, that fucking sucked. And then we get, after that scene, we go back to the two of them in the car driving back. He's listening to classical music. She asks if it's Bach,
because she doesn't know,
and he's like, no, it's not Bach. And they have a conversation, banter. Nothing really important happens in this scene. Then we go back to like
the past,
to the past, and at this point they're like, oh, everybody's going to be looking for the hybrids. And she's like, well, to draw attention away from Anna, I'll announce myself. Like, I'll come forward, because Maddie, the governor,
human representative,
the governor, was like, oh, there are hybrids between humans and werewolves. And so to make sure people don't look at Anna, Serena decides to announce herself as.
And this is the first indication that Serena, and again, at this point, I'm not actually sure if she knows about her terminal diagnosis.
She does not.
Okay, so it makes even less sense. But so the point is like, she really wants to be a martyr this whole book, and it is incredibly irritating. I'm sorry, very like
Can we
martyrs
have an
only have their
ounce?
time to shine
Yeah.
in a very select amount of time in a plot, and it is not the whole plot. And it is very irritating that she's just like, oh, this little girl I've never met. I
Or
want
I've
to
met one.
die for her.
Yeah,
Like, it's
Serena
dumb.
is out here to martyr herself multiple times throughout the book. And at this point, she's like, I'm going to present myself as the hybrid. I'm going to do a news thingy so people will look at me and they'll leave Anna alone. And she does it.
And
And she goes,
everybody hates on her and says some nasty stuff. She even learns that she's technically, supposedly, which I'll tell you, a sequel's gonna have her pregnant. But anyway,
yeah, she learns that she can't
infertile.
have kids. She's infertile
Yes.
as a crossbreed. So
And people are like, good, she shouldn't be fertile. We all hope she dies.
yeah,
Because she is.
and then when she goes out, like Cohen like ferries her out, and
Has a
then
moment.
there's one weird guy holding a sign, being like, "Oh, the blessed flesh," and Serena's like, "Wow,
The
that's
blessed-
weird." Yeah,
Yeah.
Serena's like, "That's kind of weird, bro." And he scuttles her out, and he's like, because he hated the idea from the beginning.
And there's a whole moment in there's a whole elevator scene, guys, where like one security guard says some nasty stuff about her, and he's like, "You're gonna apologize," and it's like, "Oh my god, come on!"
He's like, "Fuck you, asshole!" Like when I tell you, this guy is so much like the romance trope of "Don't you dare touch or say anything about
mate.
my woman." You know, like he's so much that when he's like, "But I'm not interested in you, Serena." Like
It's
he
so
gaslights
dumb.
the fuck out of this girl because she's like, "You seem kind of interested in me," and then he's
No,
like,
I hate
"No,
you."
I fucking. Why would you even think that? And it gives me. Remember how angry we got in the first book, where after her and Lo got like hot and nasty with each other, and then in her apartment, she's like, "I want to date you, and I want to be like da da da. I really like you," and he was like,
about that.
he was like, "What would make you think I wanted that too?" Like, wow, I just wanted
God,
sex.
that was the worst scene in that
It was
book.
so terrible. That's happened so many times in this book where, like, obviously he likes her and he's into her, and he does. There's literally a scene, like, there's so many scenes where he is semi-physically affectionate with her or closer to her than he needs to be, and
He's
then
like, ugh.
and then he'll be like, she'll be like, "Oh, I kind of like it," and he'll be like, "Why? What the fuck do you like? I don't even like you. Ugh, it's gross."
Fucking forgot about this.
And it's just
the same vibe as that scene, and that was my lead. Like, I hated. Do you remember?
I remember
how much I hated that scene. It's so disgusting.
It is. It's terrible, and he does it so many times in this book. It's so bad because again, he's real like.
I'm too good for this.
Scene.
I need to support, but he's not, because as we know, my voice broke. But he's not because he tells you at the beginning of each chapter how much he actually cares, it's so
shitty. And again,
anyway,
the actual reason of why he can't do anything with her is such a better thing to have told her to give her context for what's happening.
That makes it's political, so it makes sense, and you could have started with that, and it would have just. We didn't
need any of this. But anyway, so then we kind of fly back to like present day where he's like, "Okay, I'm going to take you to she wakes up
the Northwest.
I think she there's like a scene over a video call with Misery and
there
Lo,
is.
and basically what they discover is that there are vampires putting out bounties for a hybrid because they want to study their genetics. And so Serena's like, well, to make sure they don't go after Anna because, you know, Anna's young and much easier to kidnap than I am. Why don't I go to the Northwest Pack, make myself very, very obviously noticeable, and then they can come get me, and then you guys can capture one of them and figure out who on the Vampire Council is doing this. Even though
Cohen tells her exactly what you might also be thinking, listeners, which is Anna has an entire fleet of creatures at her disposal.
Yeah. She's so well protected.
So well protected. And guess what? As Cohen tells Serena very pointedly and meanly, he says, "You have no one. You have no loved ones, you have no family, you have no pack, you have no one. And you think that you can survive and that she cannot. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, because I remember listening to this on my way home from work, and I thought to myself, I still remember looking at the gas station I looked at when I heard that. And I was like, first of all, wow,
Wow.
she needed to hear this, and this should have changed her mind. But then, second of all,
Did you
how
have to say it that
mean?
way?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Like, I would.
and she won't let it go. Because they're like,
Because she's Jesus Christ superstar.
and because like
She's gonna murder
is,
herself.
the other thing is they're asking what everybody wants is for her to go back to the Southwest Pack, which means her and Anna would be in the same place. Again, if somebody was going to kidnap someone, they could take her. Like, there's no like they would both be super well protected, and if she's there, they could kidnap her instead of Anna. Like, she's the one that everybody knows is the werewolf hybrid. Nobody officially knows Anna is, so if she is where Anna is, they're more likely to try kidnap her anyway. And Cohen's like, this is a dumb idea, I'm not doing it. And there's this thing that keeps happening where our girl keeps saying stuff like, for the time that I have left, or it doesn't matter because, and I don't need to, like, there's a bunch of little things where you're like, oh, this bitch dying, and like she's just like, let me go, let me die, martyr myself with my dying body.
Once you start getting those tidbits at that point, whether or not that was before or after the interview she has on TV, it doesn't freaking matter. The point is, okay, so fair enough. She knows she's gonna die.
No, fucking dumb.
No, not fun for me, the reader, but fair enough for her. If she's really like, I mean, let's talk about it. She real quick, just for 30 seconds. She's got severe issues. She thinks she's worthless. She's been brought up thinking she's worthless. It would not surprise me if somebody with that brainwashing would be like, it would be better off if I just sacrificed myself. Fair enough. Fair enough at the bare minimum of what's about to happen. So, okay. So she says that she gets her way. She stays in the Northwest.
Yeah. Cohen changes his mind because he's like anti. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, go into my house. You're staying in the Northwest and we're going to make sure people know you're around. And you're like,
why does he sound like a, I don't know. like from the I don't even know what to call it. There's an era that does that.
It's so dumb. It's just, I hate that he's like, there's no justification for why he decides to change. Oh, hi.
Oh, I heard that. That sounded like a parakeet.
What happened? Oh, he got stuck in a blanket.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Say, I'm very sad. Here, let's put the blanket on you.
Oh my God. He got stuck in a blanket. Yeah. Oh, look, just like Serena in some ways. She just got stuck in a blanket because that's how much the plot really takes her away from doing the things she needs to do.
What is happening here? Why can't I? There we go. Okay.
Anyway, so long story short, you don't need to know all the little details. The point is that Cohen drives her to his house, which is this nice cabin in the Northwest.
With no furniture.
We keep saying Northwest because, yes. We keep saying Northwest because that's all that's ever told to us. And it's described as foresty, rainy, and like Forks, Washington, basically.
But on the ocean. Like the ocean's nearby.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be like California, maybe.
Oregon.
So the point is, yeah. And so, anyway, the point is
Washington State.
For a brief moment, I would not say excited. I was like, okay. When it started to describe the community and it describes that like everybody's a werewolf basically, and I couldn't help thinking to myself, I was like, wait, what if an accidental human just comes across and they're like, yeah, I want to live here. Like, I guess they just live there. I don't know. It's never explained. But the point is everybody's kumbaya in this place. And this place is super cool werewolf peace hippie stuff. And she goes into his cabin. The cabin, like Maria said, I'm a man that doesn't have furniture.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time as a wolf outside, so I don't have things to sit on. Who needs chairs?
Even though he has apparently like meetings with his like gigantic group of like army people, basically his seconds. And like people come over, I guess sometimes. I don't know. But the point is she goes in, she's given some stuff. This whole time she's half naked, but now she's not anymore. She finally, and then this is where we start getting like inklings of the fact that she's ill.
Yeah.
By the way, you're gonna have to rely on Maria to tell you this portion because literally this plot is so boring and nothing happens at all that for 75% of this novel, which is about to occur, nothing happens.
Yep.
It's just literally her going shopping
Yep.
and feeling like she's normal for 5 seconds, and then him being really cute to her for 5 seconds, but then being a dick for 5 seconds, and then her meeting some of the people that she already knew, but meeting better, but not really because we don't even know these characters, and that's it. That's all
Yeah.
this is at this point.
So some context. The reason she decided to live in a cabin by herself was because she's dying, and she'd gone after she like the whole debacle that happened at the end of the first book, and she meets Cohen and all of that.
Technically, key point when Maria said when she meets Cohen.
When she meets Cohen, she starts kind of getting a little ill, and she starts having like
Fevers.
headaches, fevers, stuff like that. And then she notices she can't transform, like she can't shift into werewolf form. And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor basically says, okay, you have CSD, which is this cortisol syndrome where you're producing too much and your body isn't handling it well. And there's some treatments that, because it's a common werewolf illness, but it is not a. And when you find out what it actually is, and the fact that this werewolf doctor could not figure it, like, this is so frustrating. Basically, he's like, they try a bunch of things to treatments and medications and stuff, and nothing works her body. And they're like, oh, it must be because you're a hybrid. You're not responding to the heck of medication.
Said Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. And so then he's like, you've got like 4 to 6 months to live, babe. And she's like, oh, to know. And then the other thing that happens is at night when she has her fevers, she kind of loses control a bit, and she shredded a headboard, and she's worried about hurting Anna or somebody else.
Anything.
Headboard. And she's worried about hurting Anna. And so, or anyone finding out about it. So she decides, I need to be isolated. So she convinces everyone that she needs like a kumbaya.
Find my inner self.
Find my inner
I've been
peace.
kidnapped forever, and now I need more isolation.
And so she, and then Cohen helps arrange for her to go to the isolated cabin.
Hence the vampire Bob that we mentioned earlier, tracking her down, finding her, blah, 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 bring back to now.
We get some descriptions of what happens at night when this happens to her. And she gets these terrible, she wakes up from vivid sex dreams. She has terrible.
I wonder what she needs.
Who knows? And then she has like this. She's incredibly hot. Like she feels like she's going to explode in fire. She throws up. She has to take a cold shower or bath, and then she passes out again. And so she's,
what I thought actually on the first description of this, the way it explained it, she crawls into the bathroom and she feels a tightening in her gut, and I thought, is she gonna masturbate? And I was like, I thought, oh, maybe the doctor, because this is before we got the doctor's diagnosis and everything, and we get like the first description of this, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's like getting her heat stuff, and she knows, like, I just presumed that she was aware of what I was aware of, and this is what the doctor was going to say, is that unless you have like the sex or something or whatever, I don't know, but the way it's described, it very much seemed, and then she's like, and then she crawled into the shower where the wet thing, and I'm just like, and there's some description about her hands too, and I was like, does she just need a master? Like,
yeah, like what's happening here? What's happening? And she's not engaging in any of it. But anyway, so Katie's right. One of the things that happens is he takes her shopping so she can get. So no, they originally come and he's like, okay, you're gonna live with me here, and she's like, no, I have to live by myself again because she goes batty at night, and what if she hurts him, or what if he finds out? Yeah, what if he finds out that she's dying? And so she's like, no, I want to live on my own. And he's like, if you can prove to me that you can actually be on your own, then yeah. So then he takes her to this martial.
Oh my god, I forgot about this.
I know. He takes
it's
her
so
to this,
pointless.
Yeah, and it's also terrible. He takes her to this martial artist, and he was like, her name's Brenna. She trains a lot of the people in the pack. If you can take her down, land a good shot, you can live on your own. And then as they start sparring, her and Brenna start having like conversation, and you basically learn Brenna is his ex. And she's also like, she doesn't like, despite everyone else being really nice to our girl
Serena. Yeah.
Serena, Brenna not liking, and she's like, you're a
She's really
burden,
nasty.
he doesn't need you. And then there's this one point at the end where she says something like, I know 3 things for certain, we're all gonna die, something else, taxes, I don't know, and he will never ever touch you. And it's just
Which
a
is
weird,
so weirdly nastily mean.
yes,
Like,
and she's saying mean shit the whole time. And like, please note, Cohen is in the room. This werewolf
and he's
with excellent
smirking
hearing.
as she's saying it.
Yes, because the book wants you to think he can't hear them, but we have seen him hear shit in way more loud, weird situations.
The way it's framed, so what's also irritating is this. So they're fighting, right? They're sparring. And Serena actually takes
Gets the
Brenna
upper
by
hand.
surprise because Serena's had quite a bit of self-defense at this point. It's because after the whole being a person
Even
stuck in a situation.
even when they were still the collateral, they still got self-defense.
Yeah, and so she actually knows quite a bit, and I liked that concept, and I felt like it should have really like built on that. It never does. But so she does the thing, and she actually pins Brenna, and I loved that, and that makes sense to me because if she's had multiple private trainers or something like that and practice, especially with her lifestyle, like I could see that happening. The only reason that she could be overpowered at this point is because she's feeling ill, and so when she's like pinning Brenna, he comes in, he sees it, and he looks like surprised but pleased. And I'm thinking, so she's won. And I think it's incredibly unfair that Brenna then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like she like takes advantage of her distraction or whatever. And I'm like, that's not like totally fair because it shows that she can kind of take care of herself, first of all. And then second of all, Brenna says all this nasty stuff, and Cohen's just sitting right there.
Yep.
And the way the interaction is framed, it's like Brenna and Cohen are on the same side thinking the same thing, and it's so nasty feeling.
It is. It's so there's 2 ways to read it. Either he heard it and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna let her, even though he heard, remember that elevator scene where he fucking talked, he smacked that guard, that security guy down for
Not
being
just
a
smacked,
dick?
he cut on either side of his arteries on his wrist
Yeah.
and was like, next time you're dead, bud.
Yeah. And but he's gonna let Brenna talk shit, like, and like not nice stuff. Anyway, our girl gets her ass handed to her because she hasn't been eating, she hasn't been sleeping, she's not great. Like, the fact that she got Brenna to begin with was a miracle.
Already says a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, and so then like after this, she's like, guess you have to be my roommate now. He's like, and she's like, okay, fine. So then he takes her shopping, and he takes her to get like clothes, which is fine. And one of the things you learn is that she's having a lot of sensory issues where like the fabric of the clothing she hates, and pretty much the only thing that she likes to wear is his clothes. And certain soft stuff. And then he takes her shopping, and she like smells some candles. She does that thing where I'm sure a lot of us have done, where you go to the store and there's like, you look at something and you're like, oh, that's very soft, I like it, but you're like, I don't need it, and you keep walking past it. And she does that for like 10 different things that it describes to you. And then when she gets home, not only did he buy all the stuff that he also bought everything she looked at and she walked away from. And she's like, oh my God.
So once again, this scene where he was a gigantic butthole combined with this scene makes him seem like a freak.
Yeah.
Like, it really does, like, and not in a good way. Like,
what are we doing here?
This character's not a real character. He's just a coin that gets flip-flopped at any given moment the author chooses to flip it.
Yep. And it's a super weird scene. Because like in isolation, like let's say that instead of the, oh, I don't actually like you, even though my body wants to fuck you direction, she had gone with the actual direction. And I'm just going to tell you now, we're just going to rip this Band-Aid off because she's going to learn soon anyway. Cohen, because he's the alpha of the Northwest Pack, took a vow of celibacy. Apparently, lore dump, all of the alphas used to be required to take a vow of celibacy. So that they would put the pack first instead of, because like if they had a mate.
Paused.
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but I need to finish the explanation and then I can go on my fucking rant. They have to put the pack first, because if you have a mate or you have a family, you'll put their needs above the greater good, and the pack doesn't need that. So here's my problem, bros and sisters out there in the world. Allie Hazelwood decides to design her vampire or her werewolf society based on the what everybody uses when they make a werewolf society, which is the very debunked study on wolf dynamics and hierarchy that happened. Like, the guy who wrote that eventually realized he was wrong, and then it made them take that down and
I know
then
nothing
wrote a
about
book.
any of this.
Yeah,
So.
he literally wrote a book contradicting it because wolf hierarchy does not work anything like an alpha. Basically, there is like
That thing. Yes.
the idea of the alpha, the beta, like all of that, the dynamic of wolf hierarchy and what it means to be like an alpha wolf. Like, nah, doesn't fucking exist. Not it. But she decides to use this debunked, like, and again, everybody does it with werewolves. It's not an Allie Hazelwood thing. But the thing is, within the debunked thing is that you have the alpha wolf who gets to fuck. You know, he's the one that gets to make the babies. And so you decide to use that. And the other thing that's crazy about this weird celibacy thing is we already met an alpha werewolf who got to fuck.
The thing is
we met
it's
him.
It's called out already, and even our protagonist says, yeah, but low in misery. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, so like most of the packs have already said that this is an old-fashioned notion, and it doesn't make any sense because even much, much, much later on in the novel, it's even said, like, hey, but then, like, doesn't that mean you can't even have any friends or anything? Because basically any relationship is a relationship that could be strong enough to pull you away from the quote-unquote pack. And at the time, Cohen's like, yeah, no, like, it's not Cohen, it's somebody else at the time. But they're like, yeah, no, it's super old-fashioned, doesn't make any sense. Like, and it should be outlawed. But it doesn't matter. They still follow it.
Yeah, all the other packs got rid of it, but the Northwest pack had a problem that happened about 15 years ago, or however many years ago, and they're so sad about how this all played out, and because of that, they're requiring Lowe to keep the vow of celibacy, and which he has done since he was 15 years old. Also, please note, this guy ain't done shit in 15 years, if you know what I mean. Like,
so he really should suck at sex, honestly. And I would have
he should be rusty as all get out.
Yeah, I would have actually liked him fumbling, and he doesn't, of course, later on. But the point is
also,
yeah. What?
If all of his experience was from like the age of 14 to 15,
it must have just been Brenna.
But not even that. Even if he was decent for a 14 or 15-year-old,
that does not mean you're a decent
36-year-old. It's so
No.
bad. I don't like it anyway.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And the thing is guys, what's really frustrating also is what they're basically describing is you have to be a sociopath to be an alpha. And I'm sorry, isn't the whole point of alpha is to have connections with everybody? Isn't the point community?
Yep.
And so it goes against itself inherently.
And also,
so
there are multiple successful packs that don't have celibate alphas. Like, what are we doing? Anyway, that's the real reason that he's like, I can't, I need to, I can't. Anyway, and my point is, if he had just been upfront about that and been like, yo, I'm under a vow of celibacy to be the leader of my pack,
then it kind of would have been cuter how they got together, because it would have been more natural.
And also, she
and
would
not
have known,
him being a weird asshole.
I get it. And it also would have made a scene like what happened when they went shopping, where like he can't be physically affectionate to her, or
but
do
he
anything
can
like
be.
that. But he could, notice the things she need, and it could also connect to the thing of him being like a caretaker en masse, and how he noticed because of his background, he notices what people need, he notices what people are looking at, and this isn't just he's so into her because she's his mate thing, and he noticed this stuff, but like Cohen, by his very essence of who he is the kind of person who notices this stuff, and this is the only way in which he can care for her, given the situation. And I think of how sweet it would have been to be like, oh, this guy, because of the celibacy thing, and then also in that moment know, like, this is actually kind of intimate, like him,
Yeah.
like it would have been so delicious, but no, instead
Well,
we have him being like, I hate you.
yeah,
You
and
fugly.
like Maria said, what would have been nice is if there was a sequence of interactions. I don't care what the interactions were. There's none in particular I want in this scenario because there's not enough to build off of for a fan fiction in my head. That's how little there is of other characters. But what would have been nice, perhaps, is some interaction with some other characters because really what we get, and I feel like we could pretty much skip over the majority of things up until the point where she basically is the young man who confronts her about the cult.
Yeah, so
And we get
the
but what I want to say real quick, is just what would have been nice is her building relationships with the pack
yep.
and her having those interactions. And we do get these like scenes like where she makes dinner and stuff, but the thing that's the issue with these scenes is we don't get any one-on-ones with any one character, so they all amalgamate into
No.
just like one cohesive, like we are all one character. So there's nothing to for you the reader to be like, oh, I really liked this side character, or I really liked this side character and her chemistry, but I didn't like that, like there was no special interaction.
Yep.
And that's one thing I have to say that some fan fictions just simply do better, is that they give attention to the smaller details in that way.
Yep.
But continue.
So to kind of summarize a lot of what happens in this, she's having her like issues at night, and doing that. She starts like kind of building like a comfy nest around herself. She cooks for the other pack members. They love it. At some point during this, there's a night where Cohen comes home where he's not supposed to be home. Because generally at night, he doesn't stay in human form. He's in wolf form and he's outside. And so she's kind of like free to, yeah.
There's even a character, I hesitate to say character. There is even a character that's introduced that is not used at all, so it's completely pointless. It's not even that cute. There is a wolf dog that comes about where he's like hanging out, like, so like Cohen's like sleeping outside at first and stuff, and she comes out, meaning Serena, she comes out to give him coffee or whatever, and he's sitting next to a wolf dog that's actually just a wolf dog, not like a werewolf. And she's like, oh, so cute, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh, this is the mascot. This is going to be a character that comes up kind of like the cat, Twinkles or whatever,
Sparkles.
in the first book, which actually had a bit of a role to play in some scenes. Like that's a generous description.
Generous.
But it did have a role to play. This wolf dog just fucks off afterwards. You never see this dog again. Why mention it? Other than just to bring that one scene into a picture.
Yeah. There it's really silly. But eventually one night when she's having her like crazy like fever, wakes up, she's throwing up, Cohen comes in and he's like, yo, Serena. And she's like freaking out and her eyes are doing this really weird thing where like her pupils have gone into pinpricks and the whites of her eyes are no longer white. Like the brown is like bleeding into them. And then there's this other point where she looks at them and they're green and she's freaking out. And he was like, don't look. And he kind of like gets her to shower and then she passes out. And the next morning he was like, okay, no more lies. Because another thing we haven't mentioned is this book consistently is like, Serena's such a liar. She lies about everything. And Serena's self-proclaimed big ass liar. But like, we don't see her lie. Like she lies about, and we haven't seen her lie about a lot of stuff previously. Like if it was mentioned, and this might be something I don't remember, Misery might have talked about in book 1 that Serena hides stuff a lot and lies to hide stuff, but I don't remember that happening. It might have happened, but she's truthful about a lot of things, so it just doesn't feel very accurate. But anyway, and earlier she told Cohen, I lie a lot, but she basically confesses, I'm dying, I have CSD, da da da. He makes her go to a doctor. The doctor's like, yeah, looking at all of this, yeah, she has CSD. This is
but I'll consult with my wife later on and we'll see if we can find anything more about it.
Yeah. And then the one night, like it happens again when she's having the fever, but she's like, he's like, let's try take care of it before it gets to that point. So he wakes her up when he starts feeling her getting warm. And she's like, oh, I don't feel sick. I'm real.
I just wanna.
I'm Randy. I'm warm. But
Randy.
Yeah. I'm a little, and he's like, oh no, like he's like, oh shit. And then she's like, why
And
don't we
she is
ask?
super, like, it's like every man's wet dream, what comes out of her mouth, or what every girl pictures a man's, which is honestly probably every man's wet dream for the most part. Like any base man.
She's basically like, take me here, daddy.
Take me
Take me.
from
I'm
behind.
yours. Like,
Touch me.
like and not just touch me. Like she doesn't actually like. She's like, I need you in me. And he's like, and our boy, who we know is
Poor
celibate at
man.
this point, is like,
Poor man.
oh god, oh god, I can't. So then he gets her to pleasure
So
herself.
cringe.
And there's the points where he was like licking her, and she was like, why does that feel so? And he's like, you have glands there. And he's like actively kissing, suckling her neck, doing this stuff. And you're like, buddy, if you're this far in, just a couple steps more. But anyway, he basically says, lick and bite my neck and diddle yourself. Because she finds because he basically tells her to, like, masturbate, and she's like, it's not working, I can't make it work.
And he's like, just picture this,
and then
me,
he's like,
and you,
and then he's like, and then she's like, he's like,
and lick my scruff like a dog,
bite my neck, and she's able to make herself orgasm, and then she passes out, and the next day he's like, oh,
can I just say, that alone, I hate to say, like, if that were done well, would turn me on. Like, you guys that are listening might be like, you just don't like werewolf stuff. No, I love werewolf stuff, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I like the touchy-feely, weird physical shit.
And honestly, this and the next steamy scene are the best of the book.
They are. And it wasn't too bad, honestly, by comparison to the 3-day F Fest. But I just, like, it's really uncomfortable because of several layers. Number one, he's stuck because of the celibacy thing. They're both aware of it, so it's like this really awkward, like, I can't have sex with you thing, which might be hot in and of itself. But then it's two, which is that she is not in control of herself, and so he doesn't want to go past, like, consent to a certain degree, because there's, like, a fine line for that for them. And then that in and of itself, it's like, okay, does she, like, actually want to do this? You, the reader, know that she does. So it seems dumb at the moment, but it does make sense. But it is an awkward thing to fumble if you do. And then number three, she also doesn't know her biology. So she's like, I don't understand what's going on with me, which might be hot in some instances, but combined with the other two layers, all together come up with this, like, amalgamate into this like kind of like, I don't know if I like this, like, it's just kind of like too cumbersome. I don't know
So,
it's weird.
Katie's completely correct. Those things happen, but I will still maintain that these are the best, despite the fact that the other sex scenes, there is full consent. Everybody has a better idea of what's going on. Everybody knows where the lines
more
are.
Described and
but
more,
not just
like,
more described.
build.
The tension and the fact that he can't touch her. The scenes work because there is that expectation, that want that you can't have. What people don't realize is that the best sex scenes have denial. They have
taboo.
They have smoke and mirrors. Like, you're not getting everything.
And for those of you that have, by the way, Maria, side note, do you know what Dispatch is? Oh, you'd fucking love it. It's a new video game. It's from it's like the new Telltale series. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where there's a female character having a dream about you, the male character. And it's a sex dream, and you don't see she's having sex. Oh, it's so hot. It is so hot.
There is something about the cloak and mirrors of it all. The like,
cloak,
what are you
dagger,
seeing?
mirror,
what
mist,
are you not seeing? And like, what can you not have? Like, two people that want to have sex with each other, but
it does work
can't.
Initially. What she should have done is she should have marketed off that bullshit from the get-go.
Yes, and which she could have done very easily, but because, like, this entire time, like, there was literally a point where she's like showing him how to play something on the piano, and he sits her in his lap,
and they don't even have, like, a sexy scene there.
No, but the point is, he does it. He creates this physical connection, and then, like, 2 chapters later, he's like, I don't like you. Ugh,
Yeah.
gross. Like, it's just, when I tell you this book gives you such whiplash. But anyway, the next day, he's like, we'll go into the doctor again. And she's like, but we already went. But he goes, and it's like, no, no, no. Today we're seeing the midwife. So there's the normal
Which is the
doctors.
wife
But
of
then
the doctor.
there's the wife of the doctor who deals with all the ladies, and she actually knows what's happening that all the other doctors completely missed. Your girl's going into estrus, and it's like, and so what, normally you're supposed to be in wolf form to do this, but if you don't transition when you start getting symptoms, if you don't transition into wolf form, then you can't. Like, this thing happens where your hormones get so out
You
of
get
whack,
stuck.
you get stuck in human form, which is apparently the worst form to be stuck in for heat. It's much easier if you're just in wolf form. But that's why a girl can't. Now, why this lasted 2 months, 3 months of her.
Yeah, it's been like 3 months, by the way,
And
guys.
the other thing you learn is that it's like, heat is technically not person specific. Any dick will do. You know, any dick will do you. You just need one.
Yeah.
You know, you can
And
have
it's
multiple.
not binding or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just an experience. But of course, Our Lady. So during this time, by the way, like, Cohen knows all this already, and he's just like, just tell her. And
Yeah, because he
so the
figured it
midwife-
out. He realized last night what the fuck was up.
And it's because, once again, our protagonist doesn't know a lot about her own biology because she didn't know she was a half were. And so, anyway, she learns about it. She realizes
Also,
it. And then,
why did the other doctor not know? You have a young, sexually active,
I
female
don't know.
half-were.
I thought the same thing.
Who's having hormonal changes. Why would you not go to, are you going into heat first instead of being like, you're dying? So all of a sudden,
Also,
our
why
character's
wouldn't
like,
she, in general, have a new, like, a gynecologist, but a aware gynecologist or something?
all of her doctors, she should have been seeing everyone. Anyway, it's so dumb to me that the only person who could figure this out was the midwife. Like, oh yes, I deal with vaginas.
Look, the problem is this. This author goes into a lot of, like, pseudoscience for this world, for world building. So to ignore that level that she already goes into seems absurd.
Yes.
So while you might roll your eyes and you might say, why would they have to have a werewolf gynecologist? Like, it's like, they don't. But the point is like, she's already gone into, like, the thing is all of this is a facade for sex.
Yes.
And I know that
That's
it's
why
not
we're
totally.
here.
Well, the thing is with the level of effort she put into non-sex scenes, you would think, no, she's not here just for that. She's here for the romance bit. But then she totally fumbles the romance bit too. So it's like, wow, I'm here for nothing.
Yeah.
But continue.
So she gets this stuff, and they were like, hey, you're getting close, and when you go through it, it'll be a couple of days. You're gonna find, we'll help arrange someone, and
which is so rude, in my
like,
opinion,
and she's
because
like,
they
"But I
all
don't-"
know that.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't want anyone. I only want Cohen. And they were like, Layla, the midwife, is like, well, you can't have him. He's ours. He made a pact to da 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 da. Da. And basically, I'm going to give you the why they maintain it. Basically, 14 years ago, and you get this at a bunch of points where you realize, like, the oldest person in the pack is 40. All the other, like, older people are dead, which means 15 years ago, a bunch of the adults were just taken out all at once. And what happened was, there's this weird werewolf human cult, and there was this leader named Constantine, and Constantine attacked the Northwest pack, and he challenged the Alpha, who at the time was Cohen's mother. And Cohen's mom did the no-no. She already had a mate when she became Alpha, and everybody kind of allowed it. But then when the pack was under attack, they used her father to
not her father, her husband.
They used her mate. Cohen's husband, her mate, to draw her out.
Cohen's father. Yes.
Oh, yes. Cohen's father, her mate, to draw her out. And she went by herself like an idiot and got killed. And so that meant the Constantine, the asshole, was now leader. And so then, like, they had to attack them. Cohen became Alpha. And then after that, they were like, see what happens when alphas have mates? It puts the pack at risk. Like, it's just so dumb. Anyway, but that's why. And so Layla's like, you can't have Wool Arrange. And then she's like, is there any way to make it so I just don't have this? Because, like, you're telling me that I can't go through it alone. and I'm telling you I don't want anyone but Cohen, but I understand I'm not going to take him from you. So, and she's like, oh, we can give you this shot that will it should give you enough of a hormonal spike. It's an estrogen shot.
Which, in general, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like in a competent, like, first of all, in a lot of this would be obviated, but maybe in slightly more competent storytelling, what would have happened is as soon as her husband told her, because Layla, the midwife, knows that this is time sensitive. So she would have been like, as soon as her husband was like, oh, blah, 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 she'd been, and instead of waiting for the next day for the appointment, she would have been like, oh shit, we got to get this girl a shot because I bet you, because like, I just feel like she would have immediately called and been like, hey, this is time sensitive. You're going through this. Like, that's what a medical professional, because I've had medical professionals call me off business hours for really important information. Nothing like this, which is basically not life or death, but definitely almost life or death.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Anyway, and so they're basically like, come back tomorrow and you can get your shot. And
we'll wait another 24 hours for the shot.
We'll get, so she goes back and everybody's like, oh, wow, this is happening. And like, you can smell, like her smell has changed and everybody's like, oh, wow, she's going. And there's this thing where like the seconds are like, mommy and daddy are fighting or stuff like that. And also Serena's a good cook. It really doesn't impact too much. So then they have another, like that night again, she's like, oh, wow. Whew. And so they have another scene where he has to like coach her through. So it's like the second, like not actually sex, but like steamy scene. It's fine. It's whatever. But anyway, the next day she's like, let me go get my shot. And Cohen's like, yeah, we can't do this. And like, they kind of like, they're like, ooh.
Yeah, separate. And then they had this whole talk on literally a park bench, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I also forgot bench. the first time she went to the doctor. So the very first time she goes to the doctor, I completely skipped this, but before she finds out the whole estrus heat thing, she's outside like, oh my God, I'm going to die. There's nothing we could do. And then there's this naked guy who obviously is a werewolf and was just in wolf form. And he's like, oh, Eva, come with me, Eva, come.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can do this to the end. And she's like, who the fuck are you? Why are you calling me Eva? And he was like, you're
Ava, but is it Eva or Ava?
EVA.
It is Eva.
Yeah. Eva, and you're the son of the leader or the daughter of the leader, yes. And you told us and he promised us and now you're here and you should
Long
come
story
with
short,
me.
there was a cultish scene earlier on, doesn't matter. The point is like there was this like, creepy cult scene.
That cult that I mentioned earlier with Constantine, basically Constantine was a weirdo and his parents basically created a cult that promised humans they could turn into werewolves, and they got werewolves and they were like the chosen, the favored was the term, and they like promised. And so having a wolf human hybrid, it is like, oh my God, Constantine was
the coming of Jesus.
Yeah, Constantine is dead. Cohen killed him because Constantine was the guy who killed his parents. And so everybody's like, oh, Constantine's dead, but he gave us, you're the thing he promised. You're the child that was promised.
Your child. This isn't said yet, but later on it said your child could be the second coming of like Constantine. Type of thing. Yeah, so she's just a
weird cult
too.
Weird cult happening. Anyway, and then when she's like, I'm not coming with you, then the boy's like, that's fine, and then jumps off the cliff and basically was like, if you wouldn't come, and he also says something ominous like, they sent me as the nice option, but then there's the bad option, and you're like, the fuck? Anyway, that happens. And then the next
scene is like poorly done in my opinion because it doesn't help Serena manifest in any way or what should I say develop in any way that seems interesting. She doesn't take any agency in discovering her own self. Like she is limited, so there is that, but then that's the writer's problem. And so it seems very innocuous, like whatever. It just seems like a scene to make Cohen feel more protective over her, so contrived. But anyway, there's a scene right before she goes in to get her shot, and they're sitting on a park bench, which is so lame. And she's just like, we have to break up, don't we? And he's like, yes, we have to break up. And they're like, she's like, well, I will go to the Southwest and I will go do my thing and you will go do your thing and we will never love each other. And they're like, deal, bet.
Bet.
And that's what happens.
And then she goes in to get the shot, except lo and behold, Layla has been taken in by the cult, and the cult is here to take her. And
Not
like,
taken in like as in persuaded, but
no,
like
like
she's been
she's
like,
literally been drugged, and she's
yes.
like tied up. And so then she gets kidnapped by the cult, and then she goes to the cult, and there's this lady Irene, and Irene's like, "Oh, cottage core,
I'm your auntie.
cult vibes," and I was like, "Oh, they lied to you. You see, we were actually just really nice, and technically we did nothing wrong. Constantine, you challenged the Alpha, and then you get to be the leader of the pack." And
So technically, Constantine was in the right, and and your Cohen man, like he just murdered him, and it's like, wait, by your own logic, already that
Cohen
doesn't
is
work.
already like he did the thing, and also it's like, but like you didn't actually challenge the Alpha correctly. And so anyway, the cult is doing cult things and writing their own versions of history, but she learns about her mother, and that her mother was a human that was one of Constantine's
Like young ladies that were being sexually groomed.
yes,
And
that he had for his pleasure.
yes, one of many is what's described by Irene. And the thing is so Katie likes a kidnapping scene. Katie loves a kidnapping scene. Katie specifically loves a kidnapping scene when the kidnappee overcomes the kidnapper, even if the male protagonist or female protagonist, depending on what the relationship's like, swings in through the door, is ready to rescue. But it doesn't matter. It's because our protagonist has already figured some stuff out, because then that gives agency and it feels awesome and it feels empowering, because then this thing that felt like an obstruction to your protagonist's ability to stand up for themselves has now been outsmarted or overcome, and and that makes you feel like the injustice of the kidnapping has been fixed, you know? And that doesn't really happen. Instead, what happens is Serena is emotionally manipulated a crap ton, and then she just like does one little thing, but it wasn't necessary at all, because what happens is this. So Serena gets a letter from her mom, and or it's not a letter from her mom. It was a letter to Irene, her aunt, about how like basically even her mom in the letter was like, "Hey, Serena, also known as Eva at the time, is not being taken care of well. In fact, she's kind of being abused and neglected because like Constantine's being an awful father and I can't be a good mother because I'm supporting Constantine." And doesn't sound super great. So already like there's like no like good love there, which I actually liked, because I was like, okay, fair enough. I like that this is being shown. It makes it easy. Which makes the preamble of a decision on her part so stupid. But so they're sitting at the table. She has this letter. She's given this information. Cohen is captured.
Yeah, he comes into, and she's like, "Oh no, he did the same thing his mother did." Where
How
he
could he
came
do
in
something so dumb? And he's like
himself.
bound. Yeah. And then he sits down and they have this like tit for tat moment.
And they basically, they're like, "Did you kill her mother?" And he's like, "Yeah, I probably
did.
Even if it wasn't me personally, it was by my order because I was the Alpha. So like ultimately she's dead because of me. And I definitely 100% killed her father, ripped his heart out, ate half of it, and then buried it." So like, and there's this point where like she's like crying because like her father killed the man she loves parents, and then he killed her parents. And you know, and then the Irene's like, "Ooh," because Irene when our girl first wakes up, Irene's like, "Oh, you can leave whenever you want. There's cars. You can go back. Don't worry." But like, Irene is like hella manipulative, and for the most part,
and also
Serena sees
Irene's
through
about to allow her to be sexually assaulted by 3 young men.
Yeah, because she's like, "You're about to go into heat soon. We found 3 men available for you that are happy to be your stand-in," and Serena's like, no. So then Cohen comes and she's like, Irene's like, "Yes, here's your knife. He killed your parents. He denied you a safe and comfortable future. What do you want to do to him? Do you want to make him punish?" And she picks up the knife.
On.
And of course you're like, she's obviously going to free Cohen. Like, what are you, this is such a weird gamble, Irene. Why would you do this?
So
she frees Cohen. Immediately other wolves jump in.
So, like, it doesn't even matter that she had the capability of freeing him. If that allowed him to get out, then that would show, like, and if it was more of a high stakes moment that actually mattered, it would feel so much more impactful. But instead, it was like, you always knew she was going to do it. So already feels expected. Then when she does it, it's like, oh, she didn't even have to fucking do it.
Because all those
his,
wolves
like,
come in.
yeah. So it's like, she's just a pathetic little, like, pawn on the table.
Yeah. So they end up capturing some of the humans that were, and basically one of the things you learn is they as much as they could, they didn't hurt the humans that were in the cult as long as they weren't like fighting against them.
They surrendered.
If they just surrendered and or like were minding their business and hiding in closets, like they didn't hurt anyone. And so they take the humans that were there, they take them to the pack, and then they like, unfortunately Serena's heat is coming on for realsies now. And so basically she wakes up, the doctor's there with some of his seconds, the seconds leave, and the doctor's like, listen, it's about to happen, my girl, and since you won't sleep with anyone besides him, no one will say anything. Those guys aren't going to say anything, and I'm not going to say anything, but you have to give him back at the end of this. And so basically, they're like, we're going to let you guys fuck, and we won't say anything, so that there's like a not an organization, basically like the pack HOA. Like he's the leader, but he has like a council. It is because literally there's this one point earlier in the book where three of the assembly show up and they're like, "You're not having sex, are you?"
Yeah, I know.
They're such HOA Karens.
Yes, and then there's this one like this is the moment where the midwife is like, no, I was already, like she says, I was already worried about giving you the shot in the first place and it being effective enough considering the timing. And I'm thinking, like I told you all before, then why did you wait, first of all, 24 hours from the first meeting? But then even before that, why didn't you make the call? And so none of this makes sense. Yeah. This is like this is such a small point to get angry at. But I'm just like, what? The logic. Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, I can't give you the shot now because now it could get worse.
Yeah, from a medical standpoint, no medical professional would give you this shot. And so then she's like, you're just going to have to go through it and we won't say anything, but you have to give him back at the end. And she's like, okay, we'll
and then they have sex for 3 days.
Yeah, so then they do the stuff, and it's so funny, the first time they have sex and he comes inside her, nobody told her about nodding.
Oh yeah, the nodding.
So there's literally a point where he's like, take my knot, and she's like you can tell, like she's getting fucked, and he's like, take my knot, and she's like, what do you mean? Take what? And then all of a sudden it starts inflating and she's like, the fuck is that?
She's like, this is not, I remember the narration saying, this is not normal. Yeah. This is not, and I'm just like, oh man.
Layla didn't think, nobody thought to explain to this girl beforehand.
Which is, again, another plot hole on the author's part, because of course Layla would have said something.
And even if they thought, because the expectation that he had was that Misery would have told her, and even if he thought that, Layla, as a medical professional, knowing this girl, should have explained. Like, this girl didn't know what mates were. She didn't know what heat was. She had no idea. Anyway, so, like...
Hey. I know we're talking about werewolf sex, but... You're not a wolf. Come on. He's excited.
He is excited.
What about that? You know, let him go.
Stinky animals doing heckin' barkins.
Just leave.
Get out of there, Sasha. Sashito Pepper.
He tripped on the rug as he was leaving. And that's
so funny.
That's why you heard the roar.
But yeah, so like they're laying there afterwards, stuck together, as you do when werewolf. But anyway, and she's like, can you explain to me what a knot, like what's happening here? And he's like, oh shit. But anyway, they have sex for a while. And it's like, also this book has, and I hate this, and I texted Katie about it, it has one of my least favorite that I realize I am just becoming less and less okay with, which is the guys have giant dicks, like
that don't fit.
Like it's so big that because she's like, just fuck me, and he's like, babe, I can't.
No, he's like, I have to make sure I don't give you a tear, and it's like
he's like I gotta work you up to it, and he literally he like smacks himself against her entrance
Yes,
to
and
show
she's like, but he
that
couldn't get through.
there's no way. It was impossible. And I
It's
hate
so like
and he's
not
like
sexy.
and she's like, does this happen? And he's like, yeah, it's always been a problem. And I just don't like it because like number one, why can't we just have a couple where like they're kind of like, and the thing is, you don't have to note it. Like, you don't have to talk about dick size. You can just be like, wow, that's a delicious looking dick. Like, you don't have to describe it. You can just have her physical reaction to seeing
Because
it
what
and
I'm
enjoying
picturing is some guy standing up, like, and then being like this big. Like, I literally watched porn where a guy has too large of a dick, and I'm just like,
it. No, thank you.
oh, just looks like an unfortunate handicap because it means that you can't actually enjoy sex fully normally as most people can.
Yeah.
So it seems more like an obstacle and not a fun thing. And the thing is Allie Hazelwood isn't talking about dick handicaps. She's talking about
Like-
a sexy scene in werewolf sex.
Yes, and
so
and if like every woman can take like a giant ass dick, you know? And the thing is, like, there's like average lengths of vaginal canals, guys. Like, we can't just it's not like, anyway. So
it's not a
I don't-
disappearing bag of magic where you just stick things in and it just
and it
disappears.
goes away.
Like
it's not a bag of holding. Like, you can't.
Yeah,
it
that's
can't
what I was
just be
thinking
like into the ether universe, out again. Like, it's, and anyway, I hate it. I don't like it. We had the problem with like Akatar, where like every guy's dick is bigger than the last, and just, like,
yeah.
all of these books, like where there's just, Low also had a giant schlong. Like, why? And also the girls
Because
always,
that's what makes them,
but also
as I told Maria,
the girl is always so tight. Like, she's just the tightest in the world.
how about a nice open woman,
Like, just
ready to take
normal.
it, just like
Just normal, who also has had sex enough times that she knows how this works and what prep is, and like that foreplay has, like, just normal.
she should. Okay, so first of all, actually, real quick, she, as in Serena, should know because she's had multiple partners, it's said, and like, it doesn't really go into it, but she has had multiple partners, which means technically Serena is more sexually experienced than Cohen is. And so therefore she should understand her body to some degree a little bit more than he does in this moment. And so it's very belittling to have her be like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and it just sucks because it's the book's going to pretend that she's suddenly the dum-dum because of the heat. Like, oh, her can't think, her got brain fog, or her just she
cave woman ready for mating.
her just dick hungry. That's it. She dick hangry. That's it.
Dick
No
hangry.
thought, just dick. Like,
Hopefully I'll be that way later today. But like, you know, like, that's not the norm, guys.
Yeah,
Like,
anyway.
as you probably know.
so it's just, and I don't love it. I like those kinds of things absolutely take me up. But anyway, they have sex for 3 days, and on the 4th day, she finally breaks out of the heat, and she's like, "Wow!" And she's like, "Oh, we're gonna have to take our separate ways." And he's like, "Nope, I've decided. I'm you," because she, like, on night 3, she's like, "I love you," and he's like, "You love me, so now I'm just gonna leave my pack because you said you love me." And when I thought you didn't love me, I was okay denying myself you, but I can't deny you me if you love me. Like, I'm a caretaker. I gotta take care of you, baby. And she's like,
Even though that's not continue. It's fine.
and she's like, this isn't what we discussed. You can't do that. Your pack needs you, because everyone's been like, without Cohen, we're fucked. Like, and every other potential person who could take his place isn't
Is
as good at
awful.
him, and they're not as gifted at being a leader, and you know, what to do anyway. And so then, like, I forgot exactly what happens, but there's
Okay,
another
so all that
climax that
happens here-
happens.
Look, guys, all that matters is this. What happens is she does the dumb thing where she's like, actually, you're not my mate. I don't love you. It's all a lie, which is so, like, such a lie that even he, the character, knows it.
He knows. He's
so
like-
it's so pathetic. But anyway, so that happens. And then lo and behold, again, no pun intended with the first male protagonist name, she gets kidnapped again.
Oh yeah, no, they
but
do it on
purpose.
purpose. Yeah. So they talk to Nellie, who's this girl who's part of the cult, who's a human girl, and Nellie's like, "There's actually other places, and they've been collecting a lot of weapons, and Constantine's birthday's coming up, and so they're
And
probably,
they have guns.
and they have guns, and they're probably gonna do something." And so they're like, "Oh wow, well why don't we lead them to us?" And they were like, "We'll use Serena as bait and draw them out, and then we'll attack them." And so basically a battle happens where like she gets drawn out and she turns herself into
weakest,
yeah,
dumbest battle. She can now turn into her wolf form.
and she like
They had sex.
She like there was a tracker in her arm that they were supposed to be able to track her with, but Irene saw the tracker, took it out of her skin, put it in somebody else, and so like she ends up realizing this. She like chases after them in wolf form, and she ends up saving Cohen's life because he's like
by
he's about
taking
to get
a bullet for him.
Yeah, he takes a bullet in her leg, and then everyone in the pack is like, "Wow! Not only did she have a really good plan of how to deal with stinky stinky cult, it was so good, and she sacrificed for it, but she also sacrificed herself to save you, Cohen. So due to that evidence, we are now going to get rid of the celibacy thing because it was never actually going to be a thing, and the book was going to be fine." Anyway, so now they get to be lovers and they get to live together, and she's so happy because she just wants to be a boring couple who eats dinner and then watches TV on the couch. And then the book ends with an epilogue where like it's from Cohen's point of view, and he's been like, "Wow, I really want to put my mating bite on her, like, and bite her on the back of the neck and show the world she's mine." And he's like, "But she's gone through a lot of stuff, so I'm going to wait until she asks me about it, and I'm just going to ignore it." And everybody's like, "Wow, Cohen's so grumpy because he can't put the mating bite on her, and that means when he's far away from her, he's even grumpier than usual, and which means when he has to do pack business, he's a dick to deal with." And they're like, "Please just bite your girl, man." And he's like, "No, I've got to be a good guy." And then they're having sex one night, and she's like, "Can I bite you?" And he was like, come in my pants." "Yeah, of course you can." And so then she bites him, and then she's like, "Since I bit you, would you like to bite me?" And he's like, "Come in my pants." The book literally says he thinks he blacked out. So then he bites her, and now they've marked each other as mate, and the mating bond is solidified. Make the bond, Jake.
Shut the fuck up, you asshole! That is the funniest thing ever. Jake,
anyway, they make the bond, and that's how the book ends.
Shut up! Shut up! Sorry, Maria and I have a long-standing history with Avatar, so it's just particularly funny.
Anyway, that's the
so that's a story, I guess.
I'm sure. Hopefully that's it. There's no other character that I can remember that needs. Oh wait, no, there's Owen, Misery's brother. I bet you we get an Owen book.
Who cares? That's the story, guys.
Well, because we have to have vampire sex, Katie, and it'll probably be with a human.
No, that's too easy. It's going to be vampire and vampire now this time because it's been two different species each time. So now she's going to do the abnormal thing, which is going to be the two of the same species.
Anyway, we'll see if Katie and I have it in us to read that. As much as these books are awful to read, we've had fun discussing them both times. Also, we are funny, so you should like,
Maria's
subscribe.
Funny, and I'm just here for the ride.
You should like, subscribe, join our Patreon for more nuggets of content. Anything else, Katie?
No. Please don't read the book. See ya.
See ya. Thank you for being here. Bye.